It was in unison. Hi everyone, I'm going to react to an OVA of Dr. Stone. It says Ryusui, that's what it's called. I didn't even know that this OVA existed. I recorded my Dr. Stone season 2 reactions like months ago, and I've just been now uploading them. And I didn't know that there was an OVA until a patron of mine and Lift Door just told me that there was an OVA, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know about that, so now I get to watch it. And yeah, I think it's about like an hour or something, and I'm looking forward to it because I love my boys on Dr. Stone. And yeah, now I get to revisit them at least for a little bit. So yeah, before we get into this reaction, if you guys are my reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and please consider supporting my Patreon at patreon.com/feeling. What the heck is my window? Okay. If you like this reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and if you want to see the full length of this reaction, you can do so by checking it out on my Patreon at patreon.com/feeling. And now let's start this OVA, and here we go. This OVA was I feel like it was so dense. There was so much going on in this OVA that I'm like, I don't know how to tackle it. I feel like if it was, this could have easily been sectioned up into like 3, 4, 5 episodes, because that's how I felt. Like there was so much going on. So I feel like, yeah, how do I start talking about this? Okay, Ryusui. When episode 11 ended, Senku was like, okay, we need to. They put Tsukasa. They froze Tsukasa, and they were saying that they needed to find how to petrify people so that they can petrify him and then wake him up with this fluid. So they were like, okay, we need to go to the other end of the earth world, whatever, where the beam came from, and maybe that's how they're gonna find out exactly how it happened. And at the end there of that episode, you see this guy in stone, and I'm like, who's that guy? I assumed that he was gonna be the next villain, I guess, after Tsukasa, and Hyuga. Hyuga might still come back and do damage because he's not dead. He's just been imprisoned. Someone might let him out. But either way, I thought that guy was going to be the next villain, right? And then when they started this OVA and they were talking about this, the Kingdom of Science Drama Club first performance or whatever, the mysterious light. When I saw that, I thought, okay, so this is just going to be some kind of one-off thing, like how, like in Akatsuki no Yuna, there are these episodes where maybe they just go to an adventure that doesn't really, interfere with the main plot line, which is some kind of one-off thing. So I thought that's what this was going to be. I didn't know that it was a continuation of the season. That it was going to affect the plot. Like, clearly this is like, okay, we're going along with the storyline. That's what this is, because the guy, when they were talking about building the ship, right? And then they had this competition where Magma and Yo and Senku, of course, were gonna come up with their version of what the ship was gonna look like and everything, and then they're gonna have people choose which one they wanted. And Uki was like, why are they even doing this? Because Senku was gonna be the winner, But the point of it is to make all these people, make them feel like they had a choice, they made a choice themselves, So they saw all those ships, and then of course Senku won. And then they're like, okay, we need a captain, someone that can navigate us from here up to the other end of the earth. And then Senku, you had, what's her name? I don't think I remember her name, the journalist. she was there crying over Sukasa, and then Senku got to her and then basically asked for her help since she knows people. She has information. So she led them to when they were going there. She was about to mention the guy, but then she stopped herself because of the guy's personality. She was like, "It's too much of a gamble to wake this guy up." And then when they got there, and then they dug up all these statues, and then she mentioned Ryusui again, and she was trying to explain to them why they can't wake him up. And while everybody else was having their debate about whether to wake him up or not, you see Senku on the side just take out the miracle fluid. I'm like, he's not even looking at you guys. He's just looking at the talent that this dude has. So he just woke him up. And immediately, the guy, he's calling after Francois. When he had his fingers like this, and I'm like, okay, that's going to be the first thing that he does. And then he did it, was asking for Francois, and then he sees how the word is, and then he's like, okay, he figured exactly what the situation was. And that's why I said that it reminded me of Tsukasa when they first woke him up. Senku and Taiji were in danger of this. Was it a lion? I believe it was a lion that was about to attack them, and then they woke Tsukasa up, and Tsukasa's like, okay, what's the situation? You just immediately got into it. So that's how I felt like when it came to Ryusui as well, because he made some calculations, and he's like, okay, this is not the world that I left or whatever, and now he needed to conquer everything. Everything's gonna be his. And I'm like, this dude, man. So they brought him to the ship that they were gonna be making, and Senku did not tell him exactly how they were gonna do stuff. He was just Ryusui was looking at the materials that they had, and he's like, this is not gonna work. You need this and this and this and whatever. And he was like, Senku, you were just testing me, right? And they're like, yeah. So they were like, okay, we need oil. All right. And then they sent the best ears, the best eyes, and the best what is Chrome best at? Looking at stuff, finding stuff. Whatever. Explorer. The best explorer. Either way, they sent the best team to go look for the oil, because they thought it was some particular place. It didn't occur to Senku that after 3,000 years that Mount Fuji might have erupted like how many times, and that the landscape would change. So when they got there, Ukyo heard water, and Usui. What does keep Usui? It's the name Usui. Ukyo heard the water. Kohaku saw the waterfall in the distance. So they went there. They saw this giant. What did it called it again? I forgot. And then they relayed the information to Senku. And then Senku was like, the scientists of the modern science will be making fun of him or something or other, that he didn't think about all of those things that could have changed. And then he was like, they need to create a map. In my mind, at first, I thought there was going to be, someone that's great at maps, and they were going to be reviving that person to help them make the maps of how the world is now or something or other like that. But no, they were, Suika was like, there was these birds flying, and she was like, okay, it would have been best if we could like fly on birds or something or other like that. She said something like that. I'm like, yeah, you need an airplanes or hot air balloons. And I'm like, airplanes is way too complicated for now. So yeah, balloons. So they decided to make balloons, and they needed, Ryusui has craftsman skills, whatever. And they like got up all these hemp, collected all this hemp. They made it into clouds, and then they made this balloon, right? And even before that, when they were talking about getting the oil, and they were talking about that particular place where the oil was, Ryusui was like, okay, I will help you guys navigate to the end of the earth. but I have one condition, and that is that once you find the oil, it belongs to me. And I'm like, okay. And then I feel like from that next scene or something or other like that, they were printing all this money. They printed all this money, and I'm like, did they just print money? What is that gonna do in this universe or whatever? What is that gonna do? And you see all these people making stuff and people buying it with the money. I'm like, I guess I never fully understood how currency works. Like, I don't know. I just feel like if it's something that people print out, so there should not be people hungry if you can just print out money, you know? That's why I said that I don't fully understand how currency works. But they created this currency, and people were just like amassing all this currency and whatnot. But it wasn't really. They were like, okay, what is that? I think it was Nikki. Nikki brought something, and then Ryusui was like trying to give her money, and she's like, "What do I need that? That's not gonna do anything." And then he basically went through this explanation as to how this money was gonna be valuable in the future once they find the oil and everything. So, when they were trying to collect the hemp, it was like they needed a whole lot of it, and since people had a lot of money now, it was not gonna be useful to them unless they found the oil. So Genwo just went to them and basically made them work extremely hard to collect those hams and to make those cloths and everything. So they made it. They made the balloon. They told Chrome over there that they were gonna fly. The Chrome was like, "Huh? Fly?" He ran so fast. I'm like, yeah, my boy's not gonna miss the chance of flying, So he was running over there. And meanwhile, Gen and Senku were talking about how they can only take 3 people, right? Senku needed to be in there because he knows how the balloon works. And then they needed Ryusui to be there as well because it's the wind, and he's all about knowing how the wind works and stuff like that. He's a captain. So they're going to need him. And when they said they were going to need him, I think Taiju and Senku, I think they were just about to call out to him, and then ask for his help. And then Gen is like, you guys stop. Y'all know because this guy is all about monopolizing like everything. He wants to own everything. So you can't just like go out and tell him that they need him to, fly on this balloon with them and whatnot. So Gen just came up with this thing. He had these cards, and he's like, "There's 3 jokers, right? So 3 jokers, or was he just 2? I think it was just 2 because Senku was gonna be in like automatically. So it was just they needed 2 extra people. Gen did not want to go, so they needed Ryusui to be one of them, and they just didn't know who the 3rd person was gonna be. So people were coming in, pulling out cards and everything. And Ryusui came, and you see Gen pull out this, like push forward this one particular one card. You try to get Ryusui to like pick it, and then he's gonna turn around. It's gonna be the Joker, and he's gonna be part of the group. So they won't have to pay him anything, right? But Ken is so smart. Instead of it being the Joker, like Ryusui figured out exactly what he was trying to do, trying to get him for free, basically. So Ryusui thought it was the Joker. Turns out it was not the Joker. It was just a random card. And then again, it's like, oh my gosh, I drew the Joker. Oh, I'm gonna have to go, but I didn't really want to go and whatnot. And the fact that Ryusui thought he was gonna go, and then now he's not gonna go, it's gonna make him want to get it even more. So he wound up paying a whole bunch. paying a whole lot of money to Gen and Senku so that he can get on the ship, which is like, Gen is so awesome, you know. So they got him to join the expedition, and then Chrome just like came like, I want to go. I will go through sheer willpower if I have to. Senku told me that the world was round, but I want to see it for myself. And he was so passionate about it that Gen just he pushed the Joker forward a little bit, and then Chrome got it, and he was so excited. And then they got on the thing, on the balloon, and then they flew. And then they were flying and flying and flying, and you see Kaseki being emotional on the ground, and then you see Chrome when he got up there, and then he was seeing the dawn, coming on the horizon, and Senku was explaining to him that they were able to see it first because they were so much high up than the others on the ground and everything. Then he started crying, and I teared up a little bit because I was so happy for him, And then all these birds came flying through. I'm like, this is dangerous. Like, they could punch a hole in the balloon. Turns out that they punched a hole, but we just didn't know yet. So they were flying, and Ryusui noticed that they weren't as high as he thought they were going to be. So he was adding more fuel to the fire to make them, go up. And then they were like, okay, where are we going? They're going back to the Ishigami village. And the Ishigami was in the west, but then there were these there was these winds that were like blowing you onto to the east, and he was gonna have to navigate something or other. And they were going and going, and there's the cumulonimbus over there just waiting for them, the beast, the demon of the sky or something or other they were calling it. And they were like, okay, this balloon cannot take this cloud. Okay, so we need to go back to the ground. And Ryusui asked Chrome to pull this lever that was gonna open the balloon up so that the hot air can escape and they can go down, right? Turns out the thing was already open. Senku stopped them in the nick of time because he was like, if you pull it, then it's gonna shred the whole balloon and we're just gonna plunge to our death. So we can't do that. And then the cloud, the demon of the sky, was pulling them toward itself, and they were like, okay, we can't. And then they kept rising as well, right? And Senku was like, okay, how do we get out of this? Because if we fly way too high up, I need to think of a way out. Because if we were like way high up and then my brain loses oxygen, then that's gonna be it. And Ryusui was also trying to think of how to go about doing this. And then Chrome is also there, and he's like, when you run into nature, human beings are weak, and like running from nature leads to death or something or other, that you have to face it or something along those lines. And they're like, okay, the only way to get through this is by, going through the cloud, facing the cloud, basically. And that's what they did. They were like, okay, we need to shoot this balloon up so high up that, we go past the cloud, but it's not going to be high enough that we lose oxygen, our brains lose oxygen and everything. And there was this little bitty fluid of the valve fluid left, but it was made of alcohol and something else, and that was going to give them a boost. So he poured the thing over there. The thing got shot up, and it felt like, Senku went overboard. And I'm like, people, where's Senku? He was still overboard, but he was holding on to the balloon. And I'm like, the way this thing is shooting up really high, and with how weak Senku is, I feel like realistically, he would have been blown off. Okay. So that's why I was not okay they were not showing Senku. Apart from that one time where they showed him, holding on to it, they were just focused on Ryusui and Chrome, guarding the balloon and everything. So I'm like, where's Senku? Where is Senku in all of this? They went past the cloud. You have Kohaku there looking at the balloon coming to the village, and they're like, okay, they sent a message to the others. So they're like, okay, Senku and the others are at the village and everything. And I'm like, through all of that talk, I still was not seeing Senku. I'm like, where is Senku in all of this? Turns out he was still holding on to the balloon. I'm like, okay, at least he's alive. But still, in the back of my mind, I'm like, he should have been blown off, man. But he's okay. So yeah, now that the hot balloon thing is working, now they're gonna use it to find the oil, and then use that oil to build the ship, and then go around the world and to find out exactly how this petrification thing works. So yeah, I'm sure there was other stuff that were happening during the episode, but like I said, there was so much. And yeah, I love this OVA. Thank you so much for telling me that there was an OVA, because I feel like if the next season had come out and then I just like started watching it, I would have been confused, because I really did not know that there was an OVA, and this was like a continuation of the story as well. So yeah, so glad I watched this. Thank you guys for watching. And if you like this reaction, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe. And if you want to see my reaction to Mob Psycho 100 season 3 episode 1, because that's what's going to be replacing Dr. Stone, you can do so by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/feelmini, and you can also see the full one for this reaction there as well. Did I see that? I think I saw that. I said that. Either way, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. Ohio,